Yeah, hello everybody, and welcome back to our third day for HTML CSS Essentials. And today is a very important, no? Like it's one of the most important day throughout our series. So like congratulations, you may if you made till here, because today you're going to learn something new, very important. And I think tomorrow we are just going to do animations and all, and after that we can start with our project work. So on our last day. By the way, welcome. And first of all, let me just tell you how you can mark your attendance, because as I have told you, it's very important if you want to get your certificates. So just go over here in the description. You'll find a link, and we call this link one link. So you can just go on this link, just tap here, and you're just going to find everything about this session and everything about how you can join our full stack courses as well. So let me just give it a quick refresh. And also you are just going to get your certificates from here only. So just remember this. By the way, we have this link for you in the description. Just go down, and for the day 3, just click on this mark attendance, how much you like this session on the scale of 0 to 10. So I am obviously going to like my session, so I'm just going to go with 10 here. And if you're interested in our 6 months of program, yes, I am. And if any suggestions, nothing for now, and submit your ratings. That's all. And if you want to connect with us on WhatsApp, you can just click here, and we are just going to tell you how you can enroll and all the guidance and all. So which course will be better suited for you, how you can avail the offers, how you can join Let's Upgrade to basically make your future. Okay, that's all about attendance, and now we can start with our project, shall we? Okay, so I think we can. I was just waiting for your response, and I think I'm visible now, so I haven't done that quick check here. So I'm sure that you are able to see my screen, me, and as well as you can hear me as well. Okay, so today we are going to understand about one of the things we call it as CSS box model. Okay, it's a very important topic. You need to understand about this thing, that what is this CSS model is. So yesterday we created this Taj Mahal Wikipedia page, some sort of like this, and we also have a quick link here. And if you can notice one thing, so for a quick recap here, so here I have my h1, then I have para, a list, and an anchor tag with attribute for href, then some IDs. So I have given some IDs for each and every element so that I can grab them to style them. No? Well, by the way, you need to do practices. Otherwise, you're going to forget everything. So I have just given some IDs like title, para, list, and so forth. Then I am using external CSS. So yesterday, like as we were closing our session, I told you about you can basically create a different file with any possible name, but you just need to keep one thing in mind, that it should have the extension .css, and you're going to write all of your CSS here. And now you can link this CSS file with your HTML file, and that's very straightforward. For that, you need to use this very special link tag here. So just write link, then it accepts two attributes, href. So here you just need to mention the file name and a relation, that what kind of relation this file is going to have with my HTML. Yeah, we have some more relations like icon and fonts, etc., etc. And here I have all of my styling. Yeah, so for now I need to clear everything so that we can start with our new project. So let me just clear it, and I'm also going to clear all of my CSS and a quick save. And now I have a very basic plain white h web page here. Let me just put content here, and for that I'm going to use a very special tag called div tag. So what's the purpose of this div tag? Actually, this division, we call it division, and it's sort of useless. It's actually not going to do anything. If I write anything here, na, it's not doing any kind of text formatting, like H1 is used to make things bigger and bolder, LI to create a list item, anchor to create a link. But what is this div here? So first of all, we use div as a container or as a wrapper for all other elements. So suppose I want to create a card, like suppose I just want to create a card, or let's say I just want to have three sections on my website, like a navigation section, then I can have a header section, then it is going to have a footer. Okay, so it's a layout for every basic website. So every basic website is going to have a navigation, a header, we call it hero section also, so it hero section, and a footer. So, and every section, every part is going to have some more elements inside of it. So we can use div as a wrapper for all these elements. So I'll have a division for my navigation, and I'm going to give it an ID of nav. Okay, so we can understand it because it's a nav. Then I can have one more division, and inside this division, I'm just going to give it an ID of hero or header, whatever you want. We call it hero most of the time. Then one more division for the footer. So let me just create one. Okay, sorry, div, and it is a, and let me just give it an ID of footer. And inside this, I'm just going to reuse rest of the elements. Like here, I'm going to create a navigation. For the navigation, let me just create some anchor elements. Okay, anchor, let's say home. Let me just write here home. Yep. Then we can have, let's say, okay, it's happening a lot. Anchor, and let's say about. See, and let me just add two more here. One for the contact us. Yep, I think that's more than enough. And for the href, let's just keep it like this. A hero section will have some, let's say, a image. Okay, it is going to have some image. So let me just put an image here. Alt logo and src. For the src, let's just put some logo images. Let's just use any image here. So let's just pick an image from Unsplash. So I'm just going to pick an image from here, and let's just put search for a photo. Let's just go with Marvel. Okay, so let's just select this cute image for Groot here. Let's just put this thing here, and I will just give it some, let's say, a height, height, height of I think 100 or 200 is more than enough. So now I have a Groot image, I think src. Yep. Then I'm going to have a header here. Let me just write Groot, save it here. Then in the footer, you can have some extra details like who we are. Okay, something like this. Who we are. I think I should go with H5 here. And let's put some content. We are a team of something something. So this is a very basic layout. So as you can see here, I'm using div tag as the wrapper for rest of the tags. Okay, so it is that's the only use for a division tag. Okay, okay, that's the only purpose for this division tag is to work as a wrapper or a container for rest of the tags. Yeah, as a so you can differentiate between each part very clearly. Okay, so that's we call it as a and now you can, if you want now, you can basically, let me just grab the nav here. Let me just give it a height. So if you want to give a height for anything, just use this height. And for the height, let me just go with 30 pixels. And let's just give it a background color of tomato. There's a color called tomato. Save it. So now it has some height here. Okay. And you can also give it some color of color. Let's say this color. Then I'm just going to give it a font size and little bit of font weight. Okay, so now I'm creating some sort of and let's just grab the header, like hero or header. What is the name we have given it? Hero. For the hero, and I think that's more than enough. Let's give it some different color, soft black. Okay, and color is going to be same. Yeah, and let's just grab the footer as well. Footer, and this is how our footer is looking like. Yeah, so now we are going to make this thing more pretty, so it's just starting. But if you can see one thing here, you can I'm having some sort of spacing. Here I'm having some space, here I also have some space. So what is this space? Like why we have this space at all? So let's just understand this particular thing. Why do we have this unnecessary space, and how we can get rid of this space, because it's making my page look so ugly right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to comment it out, everything. Okay, everything, and let's just understand what was that space. So I'm just going to create a division here, and inside this division, you can just go with a h1 for, let's say, h1. Okay, and for the h1, let me just put an emoji, or let me just write rocket. Okay, now we have a rocket. Let me just grab this division inside my css. Let me just put everything side by side. Okay, so here we have our css, and here we have our html, so that we can see everything. Yep. And I'm just going to grab my division, and let's just give it a background color of let's say this color. Okay, div. Why it's not giving its color? Division div. Can you see what's the problem here? Oh yeah, let me just make it h1 right now. Let me just remove the div for a minute, and let me just grab the h1 directly. Okay, now we have a background color. That's great. But one thing, suppose in css, so hear me out very carefully. In for a css, every html element, so this is a html element, isn't it? Every html element is like a box, as you can see. It's a box here. Yeah, it's a box here. So for css, every html element is a box. Okay, that's nice. But why I like I told you about this? So you can give it some height as well. So let me just give it a height of 100 pixels. So what is this pixels, by the way? Pixel is a unit in CSS. So like we have centimeter. By the way, you could have provided the centimeter here as well. See, 100 centimeter, 100 millimeter, 100 meter. 100 meter is not going to work. So we have millimeter. So 100 millimeter. But in CSS, we use pixels. 100 pixels. It actually pixels for your screen, something like that. We have so many more units in CSS: pixel, RAM, EM, VH, VW, and we are going to cover some of the important units. Right now, just work with that pixels now. And you can also give it a width. Let me just give it a width of 300 pixels. So now this h1 have a height and a width. Okay, that's very great. And as I told you, for css, every html element is like a box. So a box can have one thing, basically two, three things. A box can have some content inside of it. And for this h1, this is the content. Okay, this is our content. This text, this rocket is the content. And if you want to increase this inner space, if this inner space, for this we have a property called padding. So let me just write here padding here, and if I provide, let's say, 10 pixel, and if you see here, let's say 50 pixel, or let's just go with 20 for now. You can see this inner space is increased. Actually, it's now 20 pixels from each side. So a box can have padding. And what is padding? Padding is actually the spacing between the content and the inner wall, inner border. Okay, inner wall. So now we have, you can basically provide any number here. Now I'm going with 20 pixels for now. Okay, one thing. Then suppose if we have two boxes here. Now I have two boxes, and this space that you are seeing, a box can have a space outside of it. Okay, so here we have our boxes. Suppose if you have two boxes, this space between the two boxes, or you can say a space around the box, okay, around the box, we call that space as margin. So if you want to modify that, you can literally write here margin and you can specify any number. So I'm providing here 20 pixel. Now this space, this space, this space is equals to 20 pixel. Let me just remove the width for a minute. So now it's 20 pixels from each side. It's 20 pixel, 20 pixel, 20 pixel, 20 here, 20 here, and 20 here also, but we don't have anything to see. But if you have one more box, it's gonna be 20 pixel. Okay. Basically, it's here we have 40, but let's just stick with it. So this is what we call as margin. And then you can have border as well. Okay, so if you want to provide any border, a box can have border, obviously a box is going to have a border here. So let me just provide a border. So how do we, border is going to have the border width. So let me just go with border width of 10 pixel. Okay, border is also going to have a color. Okay, so border, let me just write here border color, and let me just go with, let's say, uh, this greenish one. Okay, and then border is going to have a style, and now I have a border. So by using these three properties you can specify the border here. Okay, so border for any box, you have to give the border width, a border color, and a border style, because we have multiple types of border here. Like we have solid, then we have dashed border. If you want something like this, dashed border, then you can have dotted border. So this is the dotted border. So solid is the border which I'm going with right now. Yep. So let me just change this color. Okay, so this is the border. So why I told you about these three things, like padding, margin, and the border. By the way, there is a better way to write the border, that instead of writing these three properties, what you can do instead of this, that you can literally just type border here, border colon, and you can specify like type and like this. Okay, you can do this as well. So what I'm doing, just I'm just typing border here. First thing that you need to mention is the width of your border, 10 pixel. Space, type of your border, solid, and the color. Okay, so instead of writing three different properties like this, you can write a single property border, and you can specify all these properties like this. First one is going to be the width of your border, second is the type, and third is the color. By the way, you can change the order, it's gonna work, but this is the most convincing thing that I can show you. And now I can just remove it and see I also have my border. So this is how you give the border. Now let me just give a quick recap and we can wrap up this topic, like literally. So a box, every box, for a box is like every element, every HTML element for CSS is just a box. A box can have some inner space, and we call that inner space padding. Then it can have some outer space, this outer space, and we call this outer space margin. And a box can have a border. Okay, it can have a border, and this border we call literally as border, and combining these three things we call it as box model. Okay, so this is the one of the most important topic for CSS, which is called as box model. So for a recap, okay, by using style tag, how to connect CSS. Yeah, Shakti, I just told you, and you can also watch our yesterday's stream. Just create a separate file with the .css. Now you need to connect it here by using the link tag. So link in the href, you have to mention the file name and relation style sheet. That's all. Okay, this is how you can connect it. By the way, how many of you understood this box model? It's very straightforward. These three properties combined together, we call it as the box model. A DOM model is a completely different thing that's related to JavaScript. I think next week we are going to have JavaScript essential, and that I'm going to cover that. Okay. So here, margin, padding, and border together are called as box model. Just one more thing. There's one more thing. If I am just going to remove it for now, let me just remove it. Okay. Now see one thing. Let me just remove this as well. Let's just keep it. If I'm just going to give it a padding, suppose I just want some padding. Okay. So by the way, one more thing, that if I provide here padding now, it's just going to apply padding for all the four direction, all four direction. If you just want your padding, let's suppose from only top. Okay. You don't want padding all the direction. You just want top. So just type padding top here. Okay, like literally you can do this. So now you have the padding from the top only, you don't have any padding from bottom. And if you want some padding from the left side, so just type padding left, and let's just go with 10 pixel. So now I have 10 pixel of padding from the left side. This is one thing that you can do. There are so many ways to write these CSS properties. One more way, if you and you can write this, if you want different padding in all the direction, you can just specify the four values. Let's suppose 10 pixel, 20 pixel, 30 pixel, and 40 pixel. So I'm having different paddings in all the direction. So what does this mean? 10 pixel top, 20 pixel right side, 30 pixel bottom, and 40 pixel left side. Now it's clockwise. Starting from the top, it's clockwise. So you can do this as well. So by the way, it's completely on you how you want to use it. If you want to write this sort of syntax, you can write it. If you want to specify padding top, padding bottom, padding left, padding right, you can do that as well. And if you want equal padding on all four direction, you can do this as well. But you see one thing here. So right now, let me just put a marker. So this is the height. Okay, this is the height of my box, 100 pixel. Like if I literally have written here 100 pixel, that's the reason. But if I let's see one thing. If I write here padding, and if I'm just going to add, let's say 20 pixel, see the height is increasing. Why? Even though I have specified that it should be 100 pixel, then why do we have like it's increasing? Because what CSS is doing now behind the scene, what CSS is doing, it's actually adding this 20 pixel of padding in your total height. So 20 from top, 20 from bottom. So this is the 40 pixel. I think it's 20 only. So this got increased here. And if you don't want this sort of behavior, and if you don't want this sort of behavior, just specify one thing here: box sizing to border box, and save it. Now it's not going to add the padding in the margin. So it's a trick. It's a, otherwise if you don't write here now, it will add this padding space to your total height and total width, and this is not what I like. So I'm just going to provide this property, box sizing border box, and by specifying this, I'm saying this thing to CSS that please don't add this padding with my total height. Please don't do this. I can also specify a margin, let's say 30 pixel. Okay, so now it is going to be 100 pixel throughout. It's not going to change its height and the width. Okay, and now but okay, that's great, that's very great. But if you look closely, so this space that you're seeing here, like this space and this space, is margin and padding. But if you can see, we haven't provided any margin in the padding. Then why do we have this white space, unnecessary margin in the padding? It's not your problem, it's not a problem from our side. Actually the thing is, as soon as your browser is going to read your website, okay, it's going to read your website. Every browser like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Opera, Internet Explorer, something like, obviously it used to be a browser. So all these browsers actually provide some CSS from their end. Like हमने मांगी भी नहीं, वो फिर भी CSS लगा देता है. So this happens a lot. Like I haven't asked for any CSS, but this browser is applying this unnecessary margin and padding for me. Yeah, so that's a problem. And how we can fix it? How we can fix it? For that, I'm going to use a very special selector. We call it global selector. And this is how we write it. Just write star. So this star is going to select everything, literally everything in your document. Just type star, and I'm going to write here margin 0 and padding 0. So I'm selecting each and every element, and I'm removing all the padding and all the margin. And see, if I save it, see, all the unnecessary spaces and margin are gone now. Okay, so it's looking much better. It's looking much better. And this happens for everything. So if you create a button here, if I create a button here now, like this, hello. So now I have this button. I have this button. So why this button have this border, then this background color? It's haven't provided any styling for this button. So why do we have this? Actually, it's not my style. It is given by the Chrome browser. You can also check it. Just right click here, inspect, and if you open this, see, these are the styling which are applied by the browser. So I haven't applied these styling, font size and color, from where it is coming, and it will be different for all the browsers. So if I open this same website in Firefox, I will have different button or different margin, different padding, and it's because every browser will apply something. The button of Firefox and button for the Chrome are different. Okay, let me just put it here. See, they are not same. It has some border radius or something like this. Okay, so how we can fix it? So if you want, you can override this. यार ये काम ही नहीं करता कई बार. Okay, now it's working. So for that, you can just grab this button. Just grab this button here. Okay, and border to none. I don't want any border. So see, now the border is gone. Border means none. I don't want any border. I background color, just give this background color to my button, and color to white. Let's just give it some padding of, let's say, 10 pixels. Okay, and if you want roundness on your corner, for that we have the border radius. So border radius is a property if you want some roundness. Okay, now we have some roundness here. For this, use the property border radius, and that's all. Okay, so this, now we have modified the button here. So like, let me just remove it. So that's why we were having that unnecessary margin and padding. Okay, so if I remove it, so this padding and margin was applied by my Chrome browser. You can override it. Just select each and everything and give it a margin and padding of 0. And I'm just also going to write here box sizing, border box, because I don't want to add that extra space. That's all. Okay. So how many of you now know about this CSS from like Chrome browser? Abhi. Okay, so shall we move to the next topic? Let me just remove this H1 from here. Okay, so it's one of the most important topic, and now I'm just going to bring all the things back here. Our Groot page. Okay, I actually commented everything. Okay, and now let me just add some more styling here. So what's the styling I'm going to add? First thing, I just want to remove all this unnecessary padding and margin. For that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select everything and give it a margin of 0. I don't want any unnecessary margin, and a padding of 0. So see, all the unnecessary spaces are now gone. And also box sizing to border box. If you want to, you can keep it. Otherwise, you can remove it. Now, it's not that important. What is backdrop? It's a uh, so, sir, are we going to link both the pages? Like, what are you talking about? Like both the pages? Which is the second page you're talking about, Tanmay? And let me just, and padding is very, very important property. So if you can see now, this is not looking that great. But look closely, as soon as I'm going to provide any padding here, it's gonna become a little bit more pretty. First of all, let me just remove the height from here. See. So the reason is our eyes like spaces. So that's why padding is very important. And text align to let's say right. Okay, that's great. Let's just grab all the anchor elements, all the anchor, and let's just give in this padding 10. So now they are separated. Let me just give it all the anchor a right margin right of 10 pixels. Much better. And let me grab this hero section. Let me just give it some padding of 30 pixel. As I told you, our eyes like spaces, so always have some spaces. Okay, better. Let me just remove this height as well. And for the Groot, let's just give it center, or let's just put it in the right side. Text align. If you want to align your text, use this property. And let's have some margin for our image as well. So grab the image, and I just want to have some margin here. Margin here, 10 pixel. Okay, and let's just grab the H1 as well, and this. Okay, so it's not that pretty, but it's an improvement. Okay, it's an improvement. Now we are going to modify it little bit more. Now if you can see one thing here, yeah, as series I'll repeat that. Don't worry, I'll repeat that now. Don't worry. Yeah, by the way, one thing here, are you getting the things like for the box model? It's very straightforward. Every element is a box, okay, and every box is going to have a border, inner space, this inner space. So suppose this is my h1 with an emoji. Okay, so if you want to modify this space, you can use the property padding, and every box will have some outer space. If you want to modify this outer space, use the property margin. And if you want to modify this border, like thickness of the border, color of the border, you can use the property called border. Okay, and combining these three, we call it box model of CSS. Okay, now it's clear as series. What's your name? Funny? No, actually not. 5 days are not at all enough to know everything about CSS and HTML. Literally, we just have 5 hours. In 5 hours, we also have to like clear all the doubts and everything. So it's not more like CSS will take you like almost 20 days, if, and per day 2 hours 20, for 20 days, and then we can cover each and everything for the CSS. We have so many properties, so many hidden things, advanced thing and all. And that's why I always encourage you people, if you want to learn everything, you can just enroll to our full stack courses, and all the courses are so cheap, like literally I have worked with many more organizations. I don't know, LetsUpgrade is providing this type of quality just for less than 30,000. You can anytime use my coupon code SK10 to get 10% off. I'm like right now I'm not promoting it, I'm literally saying it from my heart. If you want to, you can literally join it. And duration is 6 months. In these 6 months, you will know in and out for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js, Node.js, MongoDB, backend development, full front end, complete full stack, literally complete full stack. Okay, moving on. So where was I? So one thing you can notice right now, we are just putting our content on the screen, but we cannot arrange this. I just want to arrange these things according to me. Okay, how we can do this? And we call this layout. So right now I just have some content on my screen. I don't have any proper layout. What does layout means? Having your content to some specific places. So what if I want my title to be here, like this Groot here, and this photo like completely here? Like how I can do this? Like this is a very important thing to do. For this, we are going to use a property called flex. And again, red alert, it's very important. So just look everything very carefully. Okay, so now we are going to learn about flex, CSS flex box or flex, however you want to call it. And it's very important, and it is used for the layout. Okay, so right now we don't have any layout, everything is just there. Okay, we don't have any layout here actually. So we need to have some sort of layout so that we can arrange our things according to our design. So you will have a design, some sort of design. So in that case, okay, yeah, Nirmal, I'll try my best. Actually, at the end of this session, we are going to create a clone for LetsUpgrade website. Okay, so we're actually going to create a clone for this website. Okay, like literally, this whole page we will create a clone here. Okay, now let's just understand about the flex. What is flex? For that, I'm just going to remove everything. Okay, and not this. I want that global tag here, like this. Okay, and save it. So now we don't have anything on our screen. It's completely white again. And let's just understand what is CSS flex. Sir, about attribute. Can you repeat the website name about the attribute? Yeah, you can literally Google it, HTML tags. Yeah, just Google it. And you will see the first link, W3 schools. Let's go over here and you will see all the tags here. Okay, see button, canvas. So let's just select anchor. And if you will go down, you can see all the attributes here. Yeah, so this is the website. You can Google it, you will find it very easily. It's the first thing that you will see. If you write HTML, is the first website that you're going to see. Okay. Yeah, Raila, we are actually going to do that. वो जो तुमने बोला ना, that we are going to do that. So suppose I'm going to have a division here. Okay, let me just give it an ID of anything. Let's say container. And inside this, I'm going to have three more boxes. Okay, and let me just put a box 1, yeah, box 2 and box 3, and let me just give them some class of box, because they are going to have some same styling. So let's just go with class of box and class of box here. Okay, a division with three more division inside of it, and with the content box 1, box 1, box 2, box 3. Yeah, let me just go inside my CSS and let me grab the container, and let me just give this container a width of, let's say, 500 pixel. Okay, and let's have a background color. For the background color, I'm just going to pick some colors from color hunt. Okay, I think this one is good enough. This is our background color. Let's have some margin as well. Don't have some margin. And let me just grab the boxes. For the boxes, I'm just going to give them a height of 100 pixel and a width of 100 pixel. Okay, now all these boxes have height and width of 100 pixel. That's great. Now let me just give them some ID as well. ID of 1, ID of 2, and ID of 3 here. And let me just grab these three things by ID. 1, let's give them a background color yellow. 2, 3. Let me just change the colors to some different colors here, and let me just give this color to this. Let's just have green color here. Okay, so now I have three boxes. Okay, so by default, so what I did actually, I created a container. Inside this container, now I have three divisions here, and for this, every division have a class of box and an ID of bun. So they are actually going to have the styling from the class and ID both. So there's no property which they are conflicting. So that's why if I provide here, let's say height of 150, so this 150 ID will have more priority than this class. So now box 1 will be 150 pixels wide. Huh? So you can ignore it for now. But one thing that you can see, I don't want this layout. So by default, they are starting from new line. And the reason is because div is a block element. Div is a block element. So that is why they are starting from new line. But what if I just want to arrange them in a particular way? So how you can do this? So first thing first, look closely what you want to arrange. I want to arrange these three boxes. Okay, inside what? So I want to arrange these three boxes inside this container. Okay, inside this container. Okay, so now you have to do one thing. Just go inside here and grab your container, and for the container give a very special property called display flex. Okay, display flex. Where? On the container, display flex on the container, because I want to arrange these three boxes inside this container. Na? I want to arrange these three boxes inside of what? Inside of this container. So give this property display flex to this container. And what will happen? As soon as I'm going to save it, the container which have the display of property of flex, a new thing is going to happen. That container is going to have two axes. One is called the main axis and the cross axis. Main axis flows from left to right, and we call it main axis. Then it's going to have the cross axis, which is from top to bottom. And why I told you about this, like what is this main axis and the cross axis? So as soon as if you give display property of flex to any container, that container is going to have the main axis, okay, this main axis, and a cross axis, and all the content which is inside of a container is going to follow the main axis. It's going to follow the main axis. So right now, if you can see here that this is our container, and I have given the display property of flex. And if I save it, see all the content, these three boxes. Now these three are the content for this container now. So now they are following the main axis, which is from left to right. That is why they are moving from left to right. Yeah. Let me just give some height for this container as well. So height of, let's say, 400 pixel. Okay, save it. So if I remove this property, everything is simple, like no magic here. But as soon as I give it a property of display flex, now this container have a main axis, and all the content is following the main axis. Okay, now the story begins. Now as soon as you give this display property of flex, now this container unlocks some more CSS properties. So we have 2-3 more properties, and the one property is called justify content. What is this property justify content? If you want to arrange your content along the main axis, for this you can use the justify content property, and there are some fixed values that you can write here. First one is called center, and if I save it, now all the content is in the center, of your container. See, so this is our container, and now by doing this justify content center, all the content which was actually following the main axis now in the center of the main axis. Okay, then we have left. Okay, so it is in the left, that you can use the right. So now it is in the right. Then we have space around. Let's just go with space between. Now these boxes will have as much as space they can have in between of them. Okay, so this space is equals to this space. Okay, space between. Then we have space evenly. So now they are evenly spaced. Okay, all the content along the main axis is now evenly spaced. Okay, so by using this justify content property, you can rearrange your content on the main axis. Okay, on the main axis. Then we have space around. Okay, now they have basically this space equals to this space, and this is exactly half of it. Okay, so these are some of the properties, and you can use these properties according to your requirement. And what if you want to move your content along the cross axis? For this we have a property called align items, and I know like there is a name conflict here, but align items center. Okay, so justify content if you want to move your content along the main axis, and align items if you want to move your content along the cross axis. Okay, and if I save it, see, so it's in the center on the main axis. Then you have end. Okay, so now it is in the end. Okay, then you have start. By default it's the stretch. So what is this stretch? So stretch is going to stretch your content. So right now it's not stretching because your box have the fixed width. So if you want to stretch your content along the cross axis, use the property align item stretch. Okay, but if your content have a fixed height, it's not going to stretch. So as soon as I give it a fixed height to my boxes, they are not going to get stretch. Okay. If you don't have any height, in that case only it will stretch it. Okay. So there is a thing that you have to keep in mind, and let me just put it center. Yep. So that's all about the flex. There are some more properties like flex direction. If you want to switch the main axis and the cross axis, you can use the flex direction property. But right now, let's just ignore it. It will be too much for this small session. We will use this property in our project, but in that time, I'll just explain this thing to one more time to you. And now, let's suppose if I want to, okay, let me just remove everything. Okay. Now suppose, now what I just have a container. Inside this container, I just have this division. And suppose I want to put this container in the center, this box in the center. How I will do this? So I want to arrange this box inside this container. Okay. So first thing first, just go over here in the container, get a property of display, flex. Okay. Now justify content center to move my container along the main axis. Then align item center to move my container along the cross axis. Yeah. So now it's in the center. So this is how you can center something in CSS. Okay. There are so many ways to make things center, and this is one of them. Okay. Flex display row, default one is horizontal. Flex is used to keep information. No, Ryla, flex is actually used to rearrange things. Okay. Don't worry, I'm going to give you a recap. Flex is not that easy. Flex is very difficult, and if you get it right now, it's a miracle. Now you're too smart. Okay, let me just go through the chat. The text editor I'm using is VS Code. VS Code is the text editor that I'm using. Create a header and one image. Yeah, we will do that, Gopal. We will do that. Okay. So do you want me to repeat this flex? Let me just give you a quick recap. That let's just remove everything and let's bring out three boxes here. Okay. So now there is no arrangement here. In this situation, there is no arrangement. How we can give some arrangement? So inside the container, for the container, first you have to give the display of flex. As soon as you are going to do this, now this container will have a main axis and the cross axis, and all of your content is going to follow the main axis, which is from left to right. That's why they are moving left to right. Yep. And now if you want to arrange your content along the main axis, use the property justify content. So let me just go with space between. Okay. And if you want to move your content along the cross axis, use the property align item. Okay. So this is all about flex, and don't worry, we are going to use it a lot. So you will get it in more depth. Let me just use it property one time. So in our Groot page, okay, for our Groot page, let's just use it. So here we have it. Let me just uncomment everything here and a quick save. Let's just remove these three boxes and let's just bring out our content. And now I want to arrange it. So what is the arrangement I want here? First of all, I just want to put this image in the left side and this Groot at the right side. So okay, so this is the hero section. Okay, so inside this hero section, I want to arrange these two things. So let's just grab our hero section. Let me just split it to the right side so that you can see everything clearly. Okay, let's just close it. So I want to style this hero section. So just go over here, hero, and I'm just going to give it a display of flex. See, now they are left to right. That's great, like a success. Then what you can do, let's just align them in the center, align item center. Okay, now they are in center, and let me just give it is justify content space. Let's just go with space between. Okay, so now they are arranged. Okay, it's much better. And let me just grab the image as well, and let me just give it a height of 100%. And let me just remove the height from here. Okay, much better. And if you want, let me just remove this padding from here as well. Okay, and I just want to have some padding from the right side. So I don't some space here. I want some space here. So I'm just going to increase this space padding right 30 pixel. Oh, sorry, left padding left 30 pixel. Much better. Okay, like they are too much apart. So let me just give this image some padding right as well. Or you can go with margin right. Margin right RIGHT to 100 pixel. Okay. So we will basically are going to style this thing. So now like here in for this box, I used I used the property display of flex. Okay. Like today we did a lot of thing, like literally a lot. So we are going to use the display flex. We are out of time, so that's why. So now it's just I'm just going to move to some different topic. And tomorrow we will have a quick recap for flex and also about CSS animation and how to use custom fonts. How to use custom fonts. So these all things and some more stuff. Some more like shadow, how we can give some shadows and all. So this all we are going to learn in tomorrow's session. Justify for horizontal and yeah. Okay, so for a quick reminder, let me just put it here. Yeah. So guys, that's just for today, I think, and I'll just give you a quick recap. Don't worry about that. But before that, don't forget to mark your attendance because this is very important. I just saw it here. And if you want to talk with me or talk with my team, you can just click on this button, and you can have some little conversation about the courses. And if you want to join our courses, you can just visit our website, letsupgrade.in, and just go down and just click on this start learning, and you can find out two courses. In these two courses we don't have any time limit. You will have one-to-one mentorship, 1 2 month live teaching sessions every day for 90 minutes every day. We are going to create more than 15 projects. So every learning that we have here is project based, and you are going to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node, Express, MongoDB, React, and so much more. Like अभी इसमें और ज्यादा नहीं लिख सकते थे, तो that's why we are going to learn how to code, how development works in the industry, everything. We'll prepare for we are going to prepare you for the interview. We are going to arrange interviews for you. No matter if you are a school student, a college, or a working professional, you can give us a chance. And that's it about this session. Yeah. And let me just bring this thing here. Yeah. So don't miss out our tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, we will learn about animation. We will have a recap for flex. Today we covered box model and flex, two most important topics for CSS. Animation, box shadow, background colors, gradients. If we have time, we can do that as well. Something more about these units and all. We also came to know about this asterisk, global selector, and also about the behavior of the browser. Okay, guys. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye and take care.